Okay, so we've spoken a little bit about what the unadvertised job market means, and this is really going to be the key to your success as we start to approach potential employers about opportunities. Now, obviously we'll see roles that might be advertised on the Seeks and the LinkedIns of the world and on various job boards. That may be a small component of what we're going to be looking at. The vast majority of what we're going to be doing is this direct approach model. We're going direct to employers. Now, just about every company that I know, especially a medium-sized to a large company, has a job portal or a careers page on their website. And via that website, they will often advertise and promote work opportunities within the company. So it's absolutely key that you develop a target list of companies that you have an interest in, as well as this attribute list. So we're going to have an attribute list and we're going to have a target list. Now, to find companies that you want to target, you could look at employer of choice lists, you could look at BRW, top 1,000 private companies, top 1,000 listed companies. You can, if you're targeting businesses that have taken in capital, private equity-backed vehicles, you can get databases which will tell you which companies have taken in funding in the last 12 months, for example. You can be very, very targeted, and the more targeted you are, the more likely it is you're going to see job roles and opportunities. I cannot stress enough, 80 to 90% of the roles that are available in the market are unadvertised. Now, it doesn't mean they're not advertised at all, but they're advertised to their network, to their employees, to their suppliers, their customers. This is where we've got to try and immerse ourselves and find these opportunities. So by setting up a target list, you can go to the company website. You can usually put an expression of interest in via the careers page. You can look and search on roles that are available within the company. Now, your perfect role may not show up on that search, but it will give you some insight into what roles they're recruiting for, how they advertise those positions, who handles the recruitment process. It's very good intelligence. Now, you can also go direct to senior contacts that you may have, or you could just reach out to a company CEO that you really would love to speak with. I'll never forget years ago, there was a very high-profile CEO of a healthcare company in Sydney, and one of my clients was a marketing director, and she was a huge admirer of this CEO. And she wrote this individual a letter, and she wrote a letter along the lines of, I would love to be a part of your executive team. I recently saw you speak at a particular conference. Here are my credentials. I'm a senior marketing director. I've got a lot of relevant experience to the company. Would love to have a 10-minute conversation with you on the phone. So it was a very simple cover letter. She actually did not send her CV, but she sent this through LinkedIn. And she got a phone call. And the CEO, who's very high profile, took the time out of her day to have a 10-minute conversation, and that then led on to that individual being recommended to the Human Resources Director, and they actually created a role around this person. So direct approach works. Now, you know, you're going to get some no's, you'll get some knockbacks, but that's part of this process. And you really have to be prepared to go on the front foot. Now, I don't know whether it's because you're a little bit embarrassed or there's some concern that you're unemployed. I think you've got to go on the front foot. Tell people you're looking for work. Tell people within your network that you're looking for another opportunity. And if you're clear on what that opportunity is, you can really start to, you can pay dividends, because the network can be extremely powerful. So a couple of things I suggest is to put together a list of companies you want to target, and that can continue to evolve throughout the 100 days. If you don't get traction with the first 10, then get another 10, then get another 10. Sometimes it works really well not to put the highest profile named companies on that list. Go to the second tier, go to the third tier, go to the boutique companies. Keep in mind that the tier 1 companies, the companies like the Microsofts of the world, the Telstras, the Cisco systems, these companies get literally thousands upon thousands of job applications every single day. So what you want to try and do is target companies that maybe have a niche requirement. Maybe they've got employment opportunities, but they're not a household named organisation. So putting your target list together will make a huge difference. Combined with your attribute list, it will help you look for those right opportunities. I want you to talk to your network, because most companies these days have what we call an employee referral scheme. That means that the employees become the recruiters for the company. And it's based on the premise that good talent attract good talent. And so often the people who work at the business will be actually rewarded if they can identify top talent to come into the company. So this is why you must look at your network. And I'd probably recommend using LinkedIn as the hub of your job search strategy, and use it to get back in touch with people you haven't spoken to before. Be emailing people every day, be reaching out to contacts, telling people you're looking for a new opportunity, asking them about the company that they're working for. Is the company hiring? Do you know of any opportunities? People are incredibly helpful if you ask for help and if you ask for their advice. And so, you can't be a wallflower during this period of time. You really need to go on the front foot. You're also going to be, during this time, tapping into your headhunters. They may have searches that they're recruiting for, opportunities that they're recruiting for, so you'll get engaged in that. Certainly by the end of the third or the fourth week, I'd want to be seeing you getting in for interview. Okay, so the first few weeks you're sending out applications, you're reaching out to your network, you're starting the process. The first month it's quite unusual to get straight into an interview process, but by the second month you should be starting to get interviews. Now, if you're not getting interviews, we need to look at the resume, the cover letter, the LinkedIn profile. There might be something wrong there that is preventing you from getting in the door for a conversation. Or we're not making enough approaches. It's usually that we're not making enough approaches. So, that's usually where the things are starting to fall apart. So we just need to be aware of that. But by the second month, we need to be getting in for interviews, and we now need to monitor that. And every week, when you get to maybe Thursday of the week, you want to see, well, how much activity have I done this week? Have I got some interviews lined up next week? If you don't have any conversations lined up the next week with decision makers, with recruiters, with colleagues you used to work with people who can recommend you, I get very nervous, because that's a week potentially lost. And you cannot afford to lose a week during this process. So it's really important that you sort of stick to that. So they're my tips. It's going to be, really a process of getting applications out, getting feedback, reaching out to your network, reaching out to colleagues, looking at job boards, looking at the company career portals, making your applications, making telephone calls. Wherever possible, really crank up the working the phones versus relying on just sending out emails. By sending out an email, you make it very easy for someone to not action it and to reject you as a candidate. It's a lot harder to reject someone on the telephone. So where possible, try and use the phone as the mechanism to get in touch with old colleagues. Have a little bit of a pitch prepared. This is what I'm looking for. I see you're working for X, Y, and Z. Do you know if the company's hiring? Be very specific. You can't expect people just to help you. You've got to kind of really go on the front foot with some specifics.